I think so many of us here would say, yeah, there's a lot about America that's broken. The lack of civility, you talk about that so much in the book, Our Broken America. Can it be fixed?
Well, I think it can be fixed. I really appreciate your segment earlier talking about that it can't be done by government. The government can't solve things. So when I talk about in Our Broken America, why both sides need to stop ranting and start listening, is it can only be done in community. It can only be done in working problems in our local community and learning to really listen to each other, not always agree, right? I mean, I'm not saying always, acquiesce or give in to the other side. My point is, if we don't listen and we don't understand where they're coming from, we can't make progress together. And that's what this nation is all about.
Right now, it doesn't look like Washington is capable or willing for people to even bend a little bit and say, let's look at the problems and not just point fingers and try to make sure the other side can't win. That's what I'm worried about. Can that somehow change?
I think it has to change. And I've been talking a lot about one of the quotes that I love from Margaret Thatcher is, first you have to win the argument before you win the vote. And I think, unfortunately, today, on both sides, all too often, they try to win the vote without winning the argument. And the only way you really win the argument is to listen enough to understand what the other side believes, and then think about how to communicate to them. Right now, we're all into this, how can we blame somebody else, right? So we're in this blame America first category, and I think we have to really step back and learn how to listen and how to win the argument.
I was shocked this week when the President of the United States, Donald Trump, ordered the taking out of the Iranian military official, responsible personally for over 608 American deaths. And Jackie, to my knowledge, not one single person from the left, not one Democrat in Congress, applauded the president for having done that. They all questioned. And even the ones who said, well, it was a good thing that happened, but the wrong person did it. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. How do we fix that?
Well, I think, and I talk about this in Our Broken America, I think part of it is we reorient ourselves, and that's what we're doing here on your show, is who do we listen to, right? Where does our news come from? And I think a lot of that's been exposed over the last few years, right? So we really think now about who we listen to and where we get our news from. I think secondarily, when you see someone, no matter what happens, if they're always partisan, you begin to no longer listen to them, right? So you know what their answer is going to be before it happens. So you begin to look to other people. I know that we can come together as a nation. I think it's going to take a lot of work. I don't think it's going to happen in Washington, but it can happen in Nashville. It can happen in Atlanta, Georgia. It can happen in thousands of communities around our country. But it has to happen person to person.
I would love to see Washington functional. I get it that it's going to be strong, sharp differences. There always has been, there always will be. But the polarization is so intense. And I know that's what you focus on in the book, Our Broken America. I want to believe that our broken America can become a rebuilt America. What would be 2 or 3 things that you believe would put us on the road to getting this country back to being a great country again?
So the first thing I'd say is go find someone of the opposite party and just have lunch with them. And
take them to Waffle House.
Exactly.
That's
take them to Waffle House, Chick-fil-A, wherever you're going to go. Take them to lunch somewhere and just learn about them as a person to understand that they're really not so terrible after all. The second thing I would say to do is to really think about where you get your news. I mean, you know very well if you have a Democrat living in New England, right, watching MSNBC, and someone living in Mississippi, Republican living in Mississippi, watching Fox News, there's no wonder that their two worlds never intersect because they're living in two different universes. So be very careful about where you get your news. And the third thing is to really, we live in the best country in the world.
Yeah, we do.
It's the most, I talk, right? We do. It's an incredible country. It's unbelievable. So I talk a lot about really transforming and look with gratitude at what we have. And yes, we have to argue with the other side, but I feel blessed that I get to argue with the other side because my argument gets better, and then I'm going to win the argument, and then we can win the vote. So part of it is thinking about how can we be grateful we live here. And if you want to live somewhere where you don't have your own opinion, you can't disagree with someone, there are lots of places like China and Russia, right, where you can go and do that. But here in America, we're so blessed. Enjoy the arguments, be grateful that you live here, and hone your argument so you can win it again and again.
This is impressive, the foreword written by Newt Gingrich. I'm curious, how on earth did you convince Newt Gingrich to write the foreword to your book? That's impressive.
Thank you. Well, it does help being his daughter. But I'll tell you, the honest is, obviously he's a very busy man. And I did offer to him, I said, I'll draft it if you want. I'll make it easy for you. And he said, no, I'm going to do it myself. He wrote it himself. It's a very good forward. And if you'd like, I can hook him up, see if you can get him on your show.
We've been working on that for a long time. So, Jackie, would you please tell him
that we want him to? Absolutely.
We'd love to have him. Thank you very much for being here. The book is Our Broken America. You can read my guest columns, find all of her books, as well as schedule her to speak at your group. You can do that by going to JackieCushman.com. It's there on your screen. Also, visit StopRanting, StartListening.com, and be sure to follow her on social media.